we're going to talk kind of about what it's like to think about AI or think about how to incorporate a kind of AI pivot into your company and business or teams and what that could look like, tools and solutions that are out there. We all, for those who are new to AI or ChatGPT or other tools, we'll kind of highlight different ones, but just more specifically, I'll go into some case studies of things that we've worked on, but also bigger, broader case studies that could be more applicable for different sectors or audiences. And then it'll be great to get feedback of where people are and what sector in. And actually, if you want to, in the chat to drop what sector you're working in a much more broader sense, like healthcare, IT, things like that, that may help me get a sense of what kind of businesses people are working in. That may help us to touch on more specific areas and give each other some feedback there. I have a couple of activities and workshops we do with partners and friends as we're kind of helping them navigate this. So I will go ahead and also include that. Cool. I see some healthcare, IT, real estate. It'll be fun to talk about that. E-commerce. And then, yeah, IT. All right, cool. All right, awesome. So we'll cover some of those. And actually, it's great. I think I have a healthcare example in there, which would be cool to talk about. And I do have Amazon, which I guess that will definitely, they're big e-commerce, but we'll talk about those as well. All right, cool. Let's go to the next slide. But the AI pivot, obviously, generative AI has become a hot topic. Generative AI is the technology or the approach ChatGPT uses. And before I go further, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable or how much time have you spent with AI? 10 being like I use it all day, every day, or multiple times a day, and then like 0 being like I don't use it at all. So if you just throw a number in, I can get a sense of how much everyone's level of like AI expertise or just AI usage. So then I know I can get a feel for where everyone's at. Oh, great. All right. So it looks like I probably just shouldn't assume everyone's like a ChatGPT expert from a couple of comments we have in here. So I'll take a step backwards to make sure we're all on the same page of what AI and then even to ChatGPT is a pretty it's a topic that many people have become familiar with. I'll start there since that's a pretty familiar place for some people. But AI, in the simplest way, and actually, if I can figure out really quickly, I have another deck, or I can know what I'll do is after this call, I'll share a link to another session we did a few weeks back that was just kind of like the basics of ChatGPT and like how do you use these AI tools. So I'll go ahead and after the call include those for everyone. So then everyone at least will have some baseline for how these tools work and how to actually try to use them. But in general, AI, and particularly large language models like ChatGPT, are attempting to predict the next potential word. So if I enter in the word, or if I enter in, tell me everything you know about the Marlins baseball team, the language model is going to, since it was trained on a large number of data sets, a lot of times things like OpenAI or ChatGPT, they take information that's publicly shared or discussions that are publicly shared. So it'll go to places like Reddit or Stack Overflow or Wikipedia to learn about a number of different subjects, and even things like ChatGPT. It's called, even its acronym is general, oh gosh, now pre-trained. So basically it's trained on general information scoured from the internet, particularly sources like Reddit, Wikipedia, things like that. So it's been trained on all this knowledge vast amounts of knowledge in terms of like terabytes of information it's been trained on. And then from that, it predicts the next best possible word based upon you entering in a question. So it's not really thinking like people think. It's really taking all the information that it's learned and it's predicting the next possible word based upon its big understanding of information. Raise your hand if that's still confusing, but in practical sense, it's really just predicting a sequence of words based upon all the information that's gathered. And so the way that you talk to these or message these language models is that you ask a question. So the better and more clear the question is, it will then be able to better predict the answer. And over time, these things look like it's talking or communicating with you, but it's really just predicting the next possible best word based on the question that you ask. So if you ask really great questions, you get much better results in terms of the results of the language models. I saw a couple of chats pop in here, so I'm just going to take a look at these. But yeah, it looks like a lot of people here are just learning. So I will, but definitely what I'll do for everyone who's participating here today, I'll make sure it's in the follow-up email. I saw that definitely Google definitely has a link to a free courses, and I'll drop the link. I feel like I have it like in my notes right here, but I'll share a couple of other links to places to just learn about AI that could help you get a better understanding how it works. But in general, the ones that become really popular are called generative AI. So it's generating results. So you can generate text like ChatGTP. There's things like Midjourney, DALL-E, and others that generate images based upon text. So text to image. So it's text to text. So I enter in a question, it generates text. I enter in text and it generates images. And actually, since I have my screen share up, so that's like Midjourney, which is one that helps you generate images based upon the text that I enter in. So I'll actually click on showcase here. So this will show you, you'll see here that for this image, it looks like it's cutting some of it off, but this user entered in this text, and based upon them entering this text, this AI model, because it was trained on a bunch of images that it scoured from the internet, it generated an image output based upon the text entered. And that's how all of these images were generated, were by someone typing in text. The AI model went into its big database of information of pictures and text. It then took the text that was entered by the user. It then looked at all the images that it had stored in the model that had a text description of what that image was. And then it generated its own image based upon its understanding of the request, but also knowing that it knows what a certain type of dog looks like, because in its database of dogs, it has this breed of dogs. And then it knows what an astronaut looks like. So it's taking its understanding of astronauts and dogs and combining it into an image. So that's in a very watered down way how text to image works, but it's using its classification of different images and then combining it into one image. This also works because if you tell it a style of image, so like I want 3D renderings or 2D, it understands that from all the language models that are all the images that it's kind of ingests, that then understand the different types of images or artwork. So then you say, if I want a 3D rendering of a type of dog in an astronaut suit, it can then go through its understanding of those different types of images and combine it into one thing. And then the same thing, there's a tool there's speech to text to speech. So you could do the same thing. I can type in One of those is 11 labs. And with 11 labs, you're able to type in text and it will then synthesize speech based upon what I type in. So if I were to type in hello, or yeah, I think this is one that I've done. What was this for? I can't remember. But I have in here, I typed in, here it goes. I'm not sure if you can hear the audio, but what it's done is it's taken what I've typed, it's taking, it's trained voice against the model, different types of voices, and now it's synthesizing speech based upon the text that I've entered. So if you can hear,
has been trained on a large data set of diverse text.
It outputs out the language of that person. If I had, you'll see here in like the language settings, you can ramp down you can ramp down if you want it to be very formal. You can kind of ramp it up to be more formal. If you want it to have much more variations in the voice, you can do that. So this kind of allows you to kind of manipulate the output of the voice. So I can have it regenerate. So then it allows the voice to be much more expressive or different.
ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, is an AI language model.
I think I went backwards.
For architecture, it has been trained on a large data set of diverse.
So you're able to kind of synthesize the output of voice by being able to change variables in how it synthesizes and generates the voice. And so again, it's AI models. It's been trained on different ways on how people speak. And so now it's able to then generate results based upon its understanding of language. And I think so. We have a few more people joining. All right, cool. So that's kind of speech to text. And then there's another platform called Runway ML, but there's other ones that allow you to do text to video. But then there's even more ways that AI kind of can work, because there's something called multimodal, where it doesn't always have to be text. It could be taking one image and then using AI and models to then generate a different image, or take this video and using the AI or the model and convert that video into a different type of video. So it doesn't always have to be text. It could be, depending on the model, it could take text, images, or videos, or even a combination of those things, and then generate something based upon the model. And so that's where, depending on your business, you could identify which model or AI best supports your needs. And that's something we're working on internally, is like, how do we help people based upon their business needs figure out what AI solution can be used to address that need. But one of the things we're going to do here today is just like, how do you start? I may have a few in here, but actually let's just do one really quickly. Runway ML is really fun just to tinker with. Say, person walking a dog. So what it's going to do, again, similar to like the image one or ChatGPT, which is creating text, Runway ML has trained their model on video. So their AI model is attempting to generate video based upon my text prompt, which is person walking a dog. It's going to use its model that's been trained on a number of different videos to be able to create a video for me on my request that matches its understanding of people walking dogs, and it's going to generate a video. So this takes a little longer because video is obviously much more challenging than text to generate. So we'll come back to this one, but I will pause there to see if there's any more questions. I know that was like a crash course on AI for those who are new to it, but let me know if that makes sense. Also, with the text to video, it's going, in many cases, it's going to be kind of Frankenstein-y because these techniques are still very new. So text to video, let's see what this video looks like, but it's probably going to be pretty weird. Just let's see what it, yeah, because yeah, the dog's backwards. It looks like, yeah, it looks like the person's walking forwards, kinda. And then the dog is facing backwards, but the back, yeah. Text to video is still in a very, very early stage. So a lot of the outputs you're going to get are pretty freaky, but it's pretty fun seeing some people create interesting videos with the things they generate from runway ML. And a lot of times these work better when it has a sample video to build on top of. So usually you have a video of like you, doing a backflip, and then you tell the model to then layer something on the video that you feed it. So then those tend to work better than having it generate video, because then all of it's doing is taking your video and then trying to manipulate the video you fed it, and to maybe tell it to like turn you into a cartoon. So that's a much easier ask of the model to do versus telling it to create something completely from scratch. So, but yes, if you're looking to like create it completely from text, the models just aren't really there yet. But the way, at the speed that AI and models are improving, you won't be, it would be not a far stretch to say within 6 months to a year, these models will be vastly better. And so you could potentially type in person walking a dog and get a video that looks compellingly real, like someone actually recorded the video on their phone or using a camera. If we compare it to like, let's go back here to Midjourney. Midjourney, even a few months ago, was okay, and now the photorealism of Midjourney is on par with things that you can take on cameras or professional photographers or artists could do. I mean, all of these are AI generated, and many times you would probably believe this was done by a real artist. So if we're looking at just what image generation has gotten to within the span of a year or two, video generation is going to be really interesting to see once the models continue to improve. But we'll pause there to see if there's any additional questions. If not, I'll jump back to, but it was good that to make sure for those who are kind of new to AI to get a sense of like what these tools can do. But is there any additional questions about?
I'd
Mhm.
just like to make a point about these images.
Go ahead.
Basically, people should be aware that the the people who generated these images using these AI tools are iterating on them a lot. So you're not seeing the first result from the prompt that they first created. They're doing a lot of iterations on the prompts that they enter and specifying a lot more detail. So it's 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 an art and it's a science in both. And it takes a long time to get the images to come out so good.
Yeah, exactly. These honestly are like the best of the best. I've tinkered a lot with Midjourney, and I can tell you I probably spend a few hours cumulatively on just one style of something that I'm working on, because it's a bit like coding. Once you start getting a hang of it, you're really almost in a sense like coding the image, and it takes a bit of tinkering to really get the result that you're looking for. So I could definitely share some of this stuff that I've tinkered with. Actually, I may be able to easily do that if I log in, but it definitely takes quite a bit of tinkering to get the results you're looking for, and even prompting or AI prompting is even an art form, or even starting to become a business opportunity all by itself. But even some of these are ones that I've been working on. And even that you'll see there's been like iterations after iterations of continuing to tweak the prompt and changing parameters. And even with Midjourney, you can change some of the attributes of the results that you're looking for, and you just kind of repeat it over and over and over again until you start getting the results that you're looking for. But again, you're right. If you just type in flying cat, you're going to get everything, but it takes time to kind of tweak the results you're looking for. Maybe you'll say flying dog that's flying in the sky with a plane in the background, and that may get the result you're looking for. You keep tweaking the words. And then there's platforms like Stable Diffusions where you can add negative prompts, where you can tell the model what not to include in the results that you're looking for to improve the results. So it definitely is, once some of these tools are almost a science in themselves in terms of trying to get the results that you're looking for. Any other questions?
I have a question, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
I see you play with AI a lot, which is great, and I'm starting to do the same. Are you doing AI, experimentation now just as a hobby, just for fun? And are you also trying to monetize and make money off of these new skills as well that you're picking up?
Oh, yes, definitely. So I run, I guess I didn't tell you anything about me, but I run a digital agency where we work with partners with building technology solutions, but also we help them specifically build products. Many of the products are incorporating AI or machine learning or models into them, as well as we're training or helping companies implement AI into their business. So we're doing trainings and workshops and within companies to help them better understand how AI works, but also how to then pilot and then incorporate AI into their business. So, but for us, yes, we're definitely, these tools there's two parts. One, it helps everyone, our team now over the last couple of months are like becoming AI natives. And so now everyone in the team is using AI to be more efficient. And so we've incorporated AI into our Slack channel. We are using AI. Even this deck was generated in Copilot with AI as the co-pilot. So I used an AI agent to help create the outline, and then I tweaked the outline. Then I put the outline into ChatGPT and asked for some examples of things I was looking for. And then I rewrote a few parts of it, and then I put it into Gamma, which then synthesized it into a deck. So one, I use it a lot for productivity, but then on the other side, we're also now building a AI product called Shared Notes that's around building AI infrastructure for companies so they can easily deploy different AI solutions inside of their company. So we've been on, well, even for ourselves, even us generating, me doing this meetup is a result of us figuring out how to implement AI inside of our company. And it's been honestly a game changer for our agency in terms of the amount of things that everyone can produce in the same amount of time in an 8-hour day. It's kind of been a game changer for our team in terms of productivity. So yeah, I feel like everyone has superpowers now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, AI is definitely making everything so automated and easier. It's kind of frightening at times, but also exciting too. And just one more quick question. So I'm a professional, but I don't have a tech background like in engineering science. I didn't go to school for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So being that you are in the tech field, already, you've been there probably for a while. In your opinion, for somebody like me who wants to, I don't want to change careers. I want to stay in my profession, even though it's not technical, but I've like to start, making additional sources of income in a side hustle. It's something AI related. In your opinion, as an insider, being that someone who's already in the tech world, in your opinion, how easy do you think it would be for someone like me who might be educated, who's already successful in another career that's not tech related? Like, how easy or realistic do you think it is for someone like me to break into the AI industry, make money in the industry when I don't have a tech background?
Yeah, no, so there's two answers to that question. I think one is there are, and I'm actually working on a course around like taking AI, all these different tools and creating side hustles. But the fun part is even I've gotten hooked, which is like I'm a very visual person, so I've fallen in love with Midjourney, which is the one that allows you to create art or AI images. And there's kind of a little weekend project, and I was kind of sharing some of the work I was working on, which I was like trying to create different artwork, and then now I'm going to take that artwork and then put it on Etsy, and I'm going to create my Etsy store to Printify, which is on-demand fulfillment. And so now I'm going to share the artwork I've created on Midjourney and then sell it on Etsy and then fulfill it using Printful and have it shipped to people's houses. And so now I'm creating my own art and now creating a side hustle, which is creating my own artwork, putting it on Etsy, and then having Printful actually distribute or actually like print it and ship the artwork that I create. And so it creates a really great opportunity for those who want to learn, but also create revenue or businesses that now these tools, for someone who may not be like, I can kind of draw art pretty good, but now using these tools, it's more about me being a great art director versus me actually being the painter, and actually figuring out art that I really enjoy, and then now putting my art up and then being a great marketer. But now I can use AI to help me figure out strategies for marketing my artwork. And so I definitely think AI becomes a game changer for those who are really creative and are willing to learn. You could really create opportunities for creating your own side hustle, maybe end up becoming a full-time business in terms of being able to use these tools to become a one-person company. And that's something that I'm writing a kind of a course on now, is like, here, how to use all these tools in collaboration to now create ways to create a side hustle that can then turn into your own kind of AI empowered business. But yes, there's definitely a huge opportunity. And then the other part too is if you're getting really good at this, you could become even more powerful as an employee inside of a business. So if you are a marketer inside of a company, if you were responsible for the tweets for the company, you could use AI to help you create a content calendar. And then now what probably took you 15, 20 hours a week to like plan out the tweets and the pictures. I did that for one partner. I set up an AI agent to then work through creating a content schedule for the entire month. With setting up the kind of autonomous AI agent, it was able to like generate 30 days worth of content in the span of 15 minutes. And so what it took me a couple of days of work, if I was a marketer and kind of sitting down, could be done in a couple of minutes. And then now you can focus on more important things, which is like maybe talk with the executive team about what's our positioning and how do we position here, versus like you spending hours just typing text and images now can be done in a very short period of time. So it becomes, particularly as we've been doing it internally, it's less about people losing their jobs. It's more of, I think what we've been noticing is that we have more time to be thoughtful about strategy. And hey, we even on a call, we can try different ideas, generate the images, be like, oh, this is the right image for this campaign. And it allows for like really quick brainstorming versus like someone having to go off for a day or two, come up with the design, come back, and then like, hey, let's talk a brainstorm again about something. We can like actually in the middle of the call brainstorm ideas, look at what's generated and be like, oh, that's the right direction. Let's do more of that and let's incorporate that into the campaign. And so it just allows for speed in ways that you probably couldn't do before, just because you're able to really start using these tools to like collaborate and get things done more quickly. So hopefully, did I answer your question?
Yes, definitely. And to give you more context, I mean, I'm not like clueless with technology. I'd say I'm intermediate. I've been using technology, on a regular basis since I was a kid, of course. I know how to use the internet, yada, yada, social media. I feel very competent with technology, but, I'm not by any means like an engineer or, software developer. So I just want to know how realistic or feasible it would be for me to use AI. But I'm seeing teenagers
Yeah.
having YouTube videos, you making, you know, and granted, you can't believe every YouTuber, you can't believe every sales gimmick you hear on YouTube, but allegedly I saw a podcast yesterday where this guy, he's a very young guy, not even 30 years old. He had a nice YouTube video on how to make $100 a day, just having AI-based podcasts, which is really cool.
Yeah. Some of those things, the results may not be as real, but what you're able to do is some of the results they generate are definitely very real. Because one thing, I think I'll pull this up, is that I think it was one rainy day, and so me and my son were stuck in the house, and so I sat down with him and we were like, oh, let's come up with like a scary story, because he loves like horror story, kid horror, like R.L. Stine kid horror story kind of podcasts. And so he had pretty much listened to all the ones that was one of his favorite podcasts. So we're like, oh, let's create our own. So we sat down with ChatGTP and we like created the script for one. And I showed you 11 Labs. We took the script that we created with ChatGTP. I put the audio into 11 Labs to do the narration for the story. And then I went into Midjourney to create the images for it. And actually, I probably have it somewhere down here. I created all the images of his story in Midjourney. Yeah, these are the images from his story. And so basically my 7-year-old kid is now a published podcaster, because now
That's amazing. If your 7-year-old son can do it, I surely can do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So now we published our first, because once he did it, I was like, oh, we might as well publish it. So we published this episode.
That's amazing.
His podcast on, let's actually look at, because actually I haven't looked at this in a while.
And he sells these. He sells these.
This one we did for free. So yeah, we're offering it for free. We haven't got around to do more episodes, because I think
wow.
But yeah, and I think I put his name on here because I was like,
I need to get credit. I need to get Apple products.
But that was basically the idea. And so literally within 30 minutes,
that's amazing.
We came up with a script for his podcast. I put the text into 11 Labs to like narrate it.
That's so dope.
I did the images. I think I did like I put it on TikTok or Instagram of like his thing, but the podcast version of it is just audio. But so within 30 minutes, I was able to come up with the script, get it narrated, generate the results, and then I published it. And actually I did all the like text here was all ChatGTP. So I was like, ChatGTP, I'm publishing this podcast. Here's the script for it. Give me the overview of this episode. Give me the title. And then I asked it for like all the tags and all that stuff. And it gave me all the results. So within 30 minutes, I published his podcast.
Wow.
Apple, I probably spent more time actually like creating this little thing here, the little thumbnail, than actually creating the script and like,
that is so cool.
The audio for it.
Anyone could be an author now, literally.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've actually.
And if I could just chime in here for a second, Victoria, it's even broader than that in terms of what you can do. Both Google and Microsoft and other companies have created entire platforms where you can just go in, and instead of needing a technical developer, they've already created the platform where you just tell it what to do, and it uses AI to actually make stuff. So it could be a web page, it could be an AI game, it could be a product. So going forward, if you want to do stuff and you're worried about your technical expertise, that's not going to be the issue. It's going to be less and less and less of an issue going forward, because the whole world is just evolving to make it so that anybody could do anything. Basically, the main thing they need is imagination and determination, and to stick with it. But a lot of these things you can develop very quickly on these platforms. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
That is true, because I've had frustration developing a website for my business, and for years before AI really came on the scene about a year ago. I mean, I know AI research has been around for like 80 years, but now it's like taking over the world like the last 12 months. But anyway, you know, for years I've been trying to find like a qualified person to design my website for my business. But I know a good designer, a human designer, is going to cost like a couple $1,000s if I want my website like polished and legit. Now with, you know, any of these AI features, I can now create my own website for free, hopefully.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool.
Any other people have comments? I'm gonna look into chat here.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick? So I apologize, I joined a little bit late, but really appreciate this information. But so I am all in on, you know, Chat GPT. I think it's amazing. I use it every day already in my job, and I'm trying to, you know, and I work in more of like the legal side of stuff. So I use it, you know, to analyze things for me, sort of like, you know, tee up different things for me to look at and so on, just using the large language models. And like, my question is, okay, so I have somewhat of a background. I studied computer science in school back in the dark ages, right? So like, I have some knowledge of coding, and I don't know if you guys are into coding or anything, but my question is it worthwhile for me to like get back into Python or something like that, to like, you know, like using LangChain? Like, I've been watching these YouTube videos and I think it's amazing stuff, but like, I want to craft kind of my own stuff, you know, to summarize documents or whatever. Is it worth me doing that? Or is it like, you know, are there simpler ways to do that? Or is it like, you know, is it worthwhile for me to go back inside and try to brush up and get up to date on coding for me to, you know, build my own tools?
What's really interesting is maybe it's less about like learning code over again. Actually, I'll pull up my chat GTP. But yes, it is, I'm gonna share. So there's one thing you can do, which is because programming is like, what is happening here? Getting prompts here by a bunch of things. Similar thing here, like since I run an agency, I don't really code as much anymore because it's like I just don't have time to sit down and code for hours at a time. But there's two parts to your question. One is there are ChatGPT is really good at coding, but also is really good at helping you navigate code. So what is this so you can get out of my way? So what's a really slick approach is you can say, hey, ChatGPT, help me write code for this.
Okay.
And particularly if you're a ChatGPT Plus user with access to the internet, you can either kind of tell it to like learn a particular framework, or you can actually you can cut and paste code from GitHub or other sources. So you can say here, because ChatGPT is still at the latest a year old in terms of its knowledge of the internet.
Right.
You can say, here is, maybe you want to use a particular framework or maybe a particular model. So maybe you know, if you're trying to predict financial models, like here is a particular financial model I want you to learn, taught in case the model, and you say, here, I want you now take this model that I just showed you, now use that model to do X.
Okay.
So you can do the same thing with code. You can give it code. And I think this may have been one I was working on. I kind of fed it a handful of here of code. And I said, this may not have been the one I was trying to debug something. So I was like, here's these 3 files. I'm using AWS. It's running this, this, and this. Tell me why this is not working.
I see.
It's really good at debugging and doing that because it's been trained on, it's gone to like all the like coding or forums, and it's learned to troubleshoot code because it's been learning from all the communities and places where people troubleshoot code, how people troubleshoot code. So it's actually really good at, if you feed it code, it can then say, oh, here's how other people have solved this problem because I've learned from all these other places how people have troubleshoot, you know, trying to do a Telegram bot and tell it to do a certain thing. So it's actually really good at that. But also GitHub is a great place to go.
Yep.
If you are interested in like understanding how the open source world, honestly, it's a rabbit hole because I have been been so impressed by some of the open source community and people who are like taking really interesting projects and then building on top of them. And so there's one that I've deployed. So if you really want to go down the rabbit hole and really start getting really excited, or I found like this guy here, I've been driving him crazy because I'll send him messages. But it's really cool if you find a project you're really into and you find a developer working on something really fun, you can be part of the community around what they're building, and you can submit issues, or actually like with this project, he's built a AI agent interface that uses LangChain and Pinecone and all the fun stuff, but basically allows you to use autonomous AI. And so I've deployed it, and he's even made it super easy to deploy it, to kind of use it. So I've been using it a lot because he's deployed multiple different models to use to try to run these agents on. You only need to do a few configuration things, and then you're able to kind of use it on your own. And so honestly, there's the first part of your answer, you can use ChatGPT to kind of help you learn how to code things, as well as kind of debug things that you're working on. But then the other part is going on GitHub, even going on to Reddit, you'll find a bunch of communities, either like there's one called like local LLM. There's a number of these like Reddit groups where people are just sharing models or things that they're working on, and you can kind of just chat and talk and collaborate. But you can probably find someone who's working on something you're interested on.
Yep.
They're like writing code. This guy is like writing code every day on his project, and people are collaborating and sharing or helping him write this project and expand it. And even in the last couple of weeks, he has really gone crazy, and I use it a lot now. It's awesome, and I kind of give him his props all the time because it's super helpful for me.
Okay.
Even I think
I'll check it out. Yeah.
For this presentation, I asked it to like help me come up with an outline, and then I cherry picked the parts that it came up with to kind of put together the deck today. So, but yeah, that's how I would definitely go, and that's kind of, it's been fun kind of finding projects, but also these projects have been inspiration for products that we've been developing, because I was like, oh, I never thought about adding an interface that does this, and then I was like, oh cool, that's kind of perfect solution for one of our clients, is kind of combining 2 or 3 projects I've come across and creating a product for ourselves.
So that's awesome. Can I ask you a really dumb question?
Yeah.
Okay, so on ChatGPT, I got the plus, so it's supposed to, it's got the beta, version that can go out to the web, the plugin.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the websites it tries to look up, it doesn't. It says failed.
Yeah.
Like how do you get around that? Do you know how?
Yeah, actually, there's a couple of other plugins that perform better web scraping and searches, and so actually, let me pull it up because I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, because it's almost unusable.
Yeah, it's not very good. There's one, if I can pull it up here. Let me go to what is that? What keep asking me for feedback? All right, if you go to, let's see what plugin it is. It is Web Pilot's really good.
Web Pilot, okay.
Web Pilot, there's another one. Why I'm not seeing it as I scroll. But Web Pilot's the one that I use pretty often because it does a pretty good job of scraping. It does a better job of scraping web pages for information. Yeah, Web Pilot's pretty good. I feel like there's another one I had, another plugin, but Web Pilot's definitely the one I use the most.
Well, that rocks, because I will start using that immediately. Thank you.
And the plugins are getting better, and more people are deploying plugins. And yeah, the plugin is going to be a very interesting space. The plugins. There's one here that I was tinkering with that I was actually using to like create an app for me. It was actually pretty fun. I may not be able to find it as we're talking, but the plugin space, and maybe that's another meetup. It's just like the plugins are becoming extremely useful because they're getting better and better.
Yeah, I would be all about coming to that meetup too, because you know, I want to use it a lot for research, you know, writing, things like that, and I just think it's amazing. I think it does a great job. So I
Yeah.
would love to do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely. There's one that I just added and I haven't had a chance to test, like particularly for what you're talking about, Wolfram, which helps extend kind of the math capabilities of ChatGPT. But then there's one that I just added today, which was Show Me Diagrams. That's one I've been meaning to try today, but basically it takes your prompt and actually like draws diagrams based upon the prompt that you give it. So I haven't had a chance to really tinker with it yet, but I was hoping because we do a lot of like application architecture diagrams that I can type out an architecture that I need diagram, and it actually does a good job of it. So I'm hoping this solves some of our like technical architecture documents for applications that I don't have to like do it myself anymore. I can just like need a diagram that shows AWS, the front end of an app, the back end of the app, database schema, diagram that out for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to hog the time, but yeah, all of that thing, you know, and even just, you know, your go-to GitHub. I took down the first one. Your go-to GitHub sites, go-to, you know, YouTube channels, wherever, because you know all this, or Reddit, you know, whatever is just you know, the places where you're getting really good information.
Yeah, I'll definitely share. There's a couple of people who are really good content creators that go past just like the AI news kind of stuff.
Right.
The world of AI is the one that I think of off the top of my head that goes beyond just like, oh, this is a cool new AI gadget, but that the world of AI, that content creator specifically looks at like language models, open source projects that are like really innovative.
Okay.
And that one I've really enjoyed because I think that's how I found this project, because I think he highlighted this open source project
Okay.
on his channel and actually talked through the process of deploying it, all the configuration settings, so then you're not kind of trying to do it on your own. So World of AI is really great. I like obsess over the stuff that he posts because he tends to find really fun projects on GitHub that are really useful, that are more than what you'll just see on TikTok or Instagram or other places. He definitely goes, he's obviously scouring GitHub and looking for open source projects and creators that are working on really interesting stuff.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, actually I'll jump into kind of like one of the like workshop activities, since we're kind of I think we're getting some good collaboration here. So one is thinking about like how do you explore this in the spaces that you're working in. And so let's see. It sounds like we have a lot of people who have positive outlooks on AI, but I'm going to pause it and then allow us to kind of individually kind of workshop this and then kind of want to share your results. But kind of imagining the future of like, imagine your business or project you're working on and like how AI, if it's fully integrated in what you're doing, either in your business or operations, what that looks like. And then we can talk through like how you would get there, but ideally let's spend a few minutes just either jotting down, but if kind of exploring your head or either whiteboarding or just on a piece of paper, if your company, business, operation, your team were fully using AI, what would that look like? What would be the results of that? And ideally, how would that make what you do better, easier, simpler? Let's just talk about what that looks like, and you're chilling on the beach, drinking a margarita mojito. Like, what are the results that AI is producing for you? And then we can kind of workshop together, like what would be the steps to get to that and what tools could help you achieve that. But just take a few minutes. What's a problem, either routine, mundane, repetitive tasks you do every day that you fully integrated AI, don't worry about what tool you need to do it, but just like, what would it do? What it will look like? What results would it create? And then we can kind of like play around with what would be the approaches you would do to achieve that. So I'm going to pause and mute to kind of allow everyone to kind of a little bit of time to kind of think about that. Heather, you raised your hand. You have a question or?
I actually already have something to share.
Okay, cool. We'll give everyone a chance, but yes, I'll make you the first one. I'll make you the first one.
Thanks.
All right, cool.
I already have something to share as well.
All right, cool. It'll be great. Let's go through everyone because I would definitely, I'm glad everyone wants to be interactive because I don't want to talk the whole time. So this is great. Hey, Eugene, we're taking a quick second and we're right in the middle of a workshop here. Oh, I think may have dropped you, sir. But yeah, hey, Eugene, I see you. I just added you in. Everyone's kind of quickly, the workshop or activity we're quickly doing is if you fully integrated AI into your business operation, your team, what would be the amazing results it will create for you? What processes or repetitive things would it get rid of? And then we're going to kind of collaboratively talk through what will be a process to kind of achieve that. But we're going to give folks about 30 more seconds to kind of think about it, to write down their perfect scenario that AI has solved, and then we'll kind of workshop together how would that be achieved. Also, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the chat if you don't want to throw them out there. But Heather, since you have your mojito goal,
We'll make
mojito
mine
goal.
non-alcoholic, but I'm happy to have a non-alcoholic mojito on the
Yes.
anytime. So I work in sales with as a business development representative, and I'm on a team of 8, and I work very closely with the manager. I'm in a senior role there. And I've been playing around with Chat GPT probably only for a month or so. I realized I need to learn this tool and learn it quickly because our competitors are
Yeah.
learning it quick as well. And I'm reaching out to thousands of prospects every month. So I've been using that in conjunction with another tool called Lavender to try to make my messaging very concise, make my prospects' messaging very tailored to them. I use LinkedIn heavily. So I've really been using it for messaging. Messaging that is going to get meetings, which ultimately will be high quality and ultimately lead to a bigger pipeline, which will be equating to sales
Yeah.
at the funnel. So I'm still in the learning stages. Like I said, I'm at a 3 and I learned by doing. So I'm really just trying to figure out the prompts. I'm spending a lot of time saying, okay, make this more concise, make this, shorten this and that. So I think that's really what my learning curve is the prompts, quickly figuring out the prompts to get what I need out of it. And it's fun though. I really am. I'm liking learning it. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface though, and I feel like in sales, it's the tool to use right now.
Absolutely. Actually, now you got me thinking about it. I think I've been working with some of our partners to start kind of automating the prospecting and sales. I actually want to show you one of the things I even have turned on. But yeah, automations and AI are absolutely one of the most powerful ways to use these language models like ChatGPT. So I have a couple of like bots that we've developed, or not really bots, it's just really more automations that take advantage of using AI to accomplish creating really targeted messaging. So here's like one that we generated for LinkedIn. I think I turned it off because I need to feed it some new topics. But what it does is I feed it topics, and I think this one was like how to use, there was a couple of AI topics I fed it. We're going to improve it where it automatically like scrapes Google Trends and finds the trending topics for the day for AI. Then we wrote, to your question about a prompt inside of, oh, sorry, I jumped and just assumed you knew what this is, but this is make.com. It's very simple, similar to Zapier, where you're able to kind of chain together multiple things to then automate doing a task. And so this tool allows you to like automate multiple systems. And so in here, I'm feeding it a topic. That topic gets fed into, and then it runs on a schedule. So it runs on a schedule every 7 hours and 38 minutes. It pulls from these topics. And then that topic is fed into here, where basically is a text prompt like for a chat GTP. So it then takes this prompt where I've fed it a bunch of my writing samples of posts that I've put up myself. So now it's using my writing style, and then a prompt where I ask it to write a thought-provoking and well-articulated LinkedIn post using the topic. And because this has access to the internet, it goes off to the internet to improve the results of the post, and then it generates the post and automatically posts it to LinkedIn. And so the reason why I pull this up is we have another one of these that's not on my account, but it's for sales around go to LinkedIn, find 10 people that are these types of people, go to their profile on LinkedIn, look at their company, based on their company, write a sales letter with their name addressed to them, using their company and their industry, write the sales letter, identify here's the call to actions, and now send that cold email to them. So
I love it.
Yeah. So you can basically string together. And so we use another tool that like scrapes LinkedIn and other places to like generate a list of emails based upon different things that we're trying to like target. But basically, if you're trying to build like a little cold sales engine, you can use tools like Zapier or make.com to then use the AI to help you target people, and then use that same method to then write very custom and very targeted messages to them, and then have that all automated. So yeah, we've been tinkering with that for a couple of partners with like building this little like sales automation engine. The same thing with even doing that inside of like Instagram. So having bots using that automatically respond, like, but it's not just automatically responding to their message, but it also goes and looks at that person's profile, look at what they posted and say, hey, I saw that you're interested in this because I saw you posted last week. You can really expand the capabilities of the AI when you kind of chain multiple things together. But yeah, I just want to show you this one because
Thank you.
that's,
That is definitely something I'm going to look into. The chain, I had no idea. So
yeah.
you're blowing my mind with this.
Yeah. And
By the way,
even
thank you.
this is in Zapier is probably a lot easier, but even like a simple thing is that we work with a lot of partners. And so we basically took our brain, which is like how to build apps, and we translated that into another automation, which is this one. So we have like a simple Google form that we send to like prospects of like, tell us about your app idea, which is this Google form. And then we've written prompts. We're like, hey, get a free startup analysis report from us. So basically they fill in the Google form that we send them a link to. We then have a bunch of basically ChatGPT prompts. So as an aspiring entrepreneur, come up with a unique, innovative startup idea. But basically this generates a full, and many times ends up being like 12 pages of like research and analysis on their startup idea. So it's like alternative names. It helps define the vision, taglines, detailed analysis, customer personas. I can probably pull up one, but all this is completely automated. They just fill in the form about their startup. We generate like the full report. It gets turned into a Google Doc and it sends them an email once it's done. We did zero work besides
That is so beautiful.
generate. We basically spent probably about a few weeks coming up with all the things that should go into the report and then writing all the prompts and then having a couple of people test it. But now it's just a little lead gen sale. Basically, it's like customized lead gen at this point.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thanks for showing me the back side of that. Very cool.
But it's all honestly pretty easy. You create the form. You basically can link the prompts. And actually, one last little hack here. There's a tool I use called Prompt Perfect. So what it does for you is helps you create better ChatGPT prompts. So a lot of times I would say like, I was getting lazy. I was like, I'm just getting tired of like coming up with really great prompts. I'm just going to use Prompt Perfect to build really great ones. So like this one here, I was like, generate a pitch deck for a startup to help raise money for venture capital. And then it goes back and like beefs up your prompt to make it really good. And then it also shows you like what the output of that, here's my version of what it generates versus what their beefed up version of the prompt generates. So then I can see the difference between what my little like rinky-dink prompt would have done versus their like beefed up version of it.
Oh, thank you so much for giving me these. This is great. I wrote them down.
Yeah, so this goes, and so that allowed us to like, before it was creating good results, and now it creates like, oh, let me see if I can find a good one really quickly. But it's mind blowing because then a couple of people who tried it, I had them like do it on the spot, and they're like, wait, what? Like in literally 3 minutes, they get this full detailed analysis of their startup within the span of minutes versus like, if we were to do this before, I would have to get someone from our team to go off and like write the report. They'll have to go do a bunch of Google searches. Someone have to go back and proof it and do it. And we still go back and proof it. But all that would probably take a week, maybe 2 weeks. Now we can do in a span of minutes for multiple companies. And so it's kind of a game changer in terms of like, hey, help us help you make an awesome startup. And so now it's generating these results, still loading, but it's like pages and pages and pages of results. And so now we've kind of really fine-tuned it, but it's gotten really good. So now like it created these customer personas. Jackie, 35, female, living in Maryland, income 60, mental health professional, her goals, her motivations, pain points. All this is AI generated.
That's amazing. Thank you again. let someone else talk, but you, like I said, you've blown my mind with this. So thank
But yeah,
you.
definitely tinker. But yeah, Zapier has been a great way to tinker with some like sales things. And one thing I've been starting to tinker with was doing video ask, if you're not familiar with it. But video ask is really fun because it allows you to do like video surveys. And so if you're looking to do like sales, you can do like, you can put one of your salespeople on video asking questions, and then the person responds to it, and it feels like they're almost going through a sales call. So like we've been tinkering, so you can kind of see here, you can record someone asking a question like, hey, what is the problem you're trying to solve in your business? Great. Tell me what you're trying to solve. And the person can do a video response back, audio, or type it. And you can feed the responses into the same workflow like you're doing with a Google form, but it feels even more personal than like asking someone to fill in a form. It almost feels like they're going through the sales or discovery call, but it's all automated. So that's something
That
we're
is
tinkering with
going to be
now.
a game changer in the future for sales executives.
Exactly. So that's something we're tinkering with now, is like this almost like video discovery call. And so we're doing that instead of them filling in the form. We're going to be like, oh, tell us about your startup. Tell me about the market you're trying to solve. And then they have to either do another video, do audio, or type it. And so now it becomes almost like an interactive discovery call about their startup versus them filling in a Google form. And then they still get the same results as if they filled in the Google form. Cool. I think I forgot who was next.
That was me, Vicky.
Hey, Vicky.
So I've used AI. I'm using ChatGPT mostly so far. I've been dabbling with that for the last few months. My side hustle, I have a wedding and event planning business and a small group travel business where I curate, host, and plan group travel domestically and abroad. And ChatGPT, I've only been scratching the surface with that for the last few months, but it has helped me so much with curating and crafting authentic, genuine sounding ads that I post on my meetup.com pages, on my Facebook pages, on my Eventbrite pages to promote my meetup events, my trips. You know, I even when I'm securing sponsors for my events, like an upcoming cookout I have coming up, I give it a script. I go to ChatGPT and I type in a compelling but not so pushy email to a business that I've gone to in the past on my meetup group, asking them if they would be willing to donate funds or food or paper goods to our cookout next month. And I've gotten a good response so far of possible sponsors, because there will be times I really like spend over an hour writing an event description for a meetup event. Now I literally, even earlier today, I asked ChatGPT to help me curate, a description on my meetup page for an upcoming dinner party I want to host next month. And I gave it the venue, the location, the occasion, and boom, within seconds, it told me what I wanted. And all I do is when ChatGPT gives me a response, I'll copy and paste it into a Google Doc, and then I'll edit it from there. And then I'll post it, so because I still want my essence to be in it. I don't want to be just ChatGPT's voice only. Luckily, ChatGPT is a wordsmith just like me, because I can be very wordy sometimes in my advertisements and essays. I always was a good writer since middle school. So luckily, my authentic voice doesn't sound too different from a ChatGPT generated, response. But even my day job, my main bread and butter, which is I'm actually a teacher. I didn't tell this to my supervisor because she might frown upon it, and don't tell me, guys. But for the last few weeks of the school year, I was using ChatGPT to write my lesson plans for me. I teach 9th grade English to special needs students. I'm a special ed teacher. And, for example, let's say the topic, the lesson plan that day was how to identify and describe main ideas and supporting details on a nonfiction text. I would go to ChatGPT. I did this maybe for like 4 weeks for the end of the school year. I stated, please provide me with a full lesson plan for 9th grade students with reading and writing deficits on the topic of how to identify and describe in their own words the main idea and supporting details in nonfiction text. within seconds. It gave me a beautiful lesson plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
I copied and pasted the components I wanted, which is most of the components, into the template, the lesson plan template required by school, tailored it, and boom, send it to my supervisor. I don't think she has any clue that I use ChatGPT, and she's not gonna know.
I saw some
I'm
study
not telling
that
her.
just came out that it was like, it was a ridiculous number, which is like, and this is what I've been reaching out to some of our partners, is like, you probably don't realize it, but a quarter of your employees are using AI right now, if you don't realize it.
Heck yeah, a lot of people are. It's the way to go, in my opinion.
Exactly. And it's a huge time saver. And even like for today's meetup, I was like, ChatGPT, give me 3 workshop activities that an expert facilitator would use to apply to explore AI for businesses. But it was great because it helped me think about different workshop activities I didn't think about. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about using this particular technique. But it's great for teachers because it's like, oh, I didn't think about using this teaching philosophy or method to apply for this lesson plan. Like, it's an amazing tool for
because I mean, traditionally I would spend probably over an hour writing a lesson plan. There's been times I've had to write spend 2 or 3 hours writing one lesson plan. With ChatGPT, I'm literally able to write for my English class that I teach and my reading classes I teach. I'm literally able to do a week's worth of lessons in like under 2 hours with ChatGPT.
I have it here. That course that I'm creating, I've been tinkering with OpenAI to like help me write that course for
that's amazing.
A huge thread. And it's just like, I'll have it like,
wow,
I'll go through here. This thread is massive, but I'll go in here. I'll have it outline a module that I want to cover, and I'll have it rewrite part of the module because I don't like part of it. And I'll give it input. I'll rewrite it in my own language and then tell it to rewrite the whole module. Like, it's a great co-pilot when you're trying to like create a framework for learning. And so it's been great. And I ask it like, here's the learning objectives, here's the structure that I want for the course. So each module needs to accomplish these things.
I'm also in the process of developing courses. Even though I don't have an IT tech background like you, I also actually want to start my own suite of online classes, like, AI, I don't say the word dummies, but like maybe AI for people who are non-techies like myself, or
I mean, even since you're a teacher, I would be like AI for teachers. Like,
exactly. Oh, you're a genius. When I start making some money, I'm gonna slide you something.
Yeah. AI. Honestly, this summer I was thinking about it a few weeks ago. I was like, to come out with a course for teachers on how to use AI, for lesson planning.
If you need help, I mean, I've been teaching for 15 years. So if you need help collaborating, let me know.
Let's collaborate.
We can co-sign on that thing right there.
Because all the teachers, I feel like so many teachers are like using the AI detection tools incorrectly. Like they're using them to try to detect if students are plagiarizing stuff or using AI. And
we know a lot of them are. It's like a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, it's just, and there's so many tools that help you rewrite AI that, I mean, honestly, what I do now is I basically take content through like 3 layers of rewriting that it completely removes plagiarism and any instances of AI out of it. So there's no AI left after you like process it through 3 language models. Like there's no way that it's still AI after 3 levels of like rewriting.
So I'm sorry, just to clarify, you go through 3 separate language models?
Yes. So I use Quillbot's one that I use because it like does a really good job of humanizing. So I'll use ChatGPT for like generating the outputs. I'll use like Quillbot. So like I'll take the output I get from ChatGPT. I'll then copy and paste it into Quillbot. And then Quillbot does a really great job of like, it'll rewrite it, but then it gives you like the ability to swap out synonyms. And so like here, it'll like rewrite this section and rewrite or paraphrase it, but then it allows me to like formalize that sentence. So Quillbot's really good in terms of like really helping you like humanize like the AI generated text. And you can kind of like throttle it up and down of like how creative you want it to be in terms of rewriting the text for you and humanizing it. And then I'll go into Grammarly. So between ChatGPT, Quillbot, and Grammarly, it is no longer any traces of AI after that. Like it's gone. And then the other part with using like language models with access to the internet, you can also make sure that the AI is referencing the sources. So if you were to be writing like a research paper that you need to then have references of where your sources are, because we're doing that for a content generation automation for a website that we're generating like hundreds of articles every 2 or 3 days. It references back to where it got it from the internet. So then you make sure that there's no what we call AI hallucination, that it's not just generating results that aren't actually true or real. So all the like factual things have references back to web sources that then can be verified and checked. So then it removes any kind of hallucination or kind of things that AI kind of made up for generating the results. So there's ways to really, for if you're a teacher, it's more about, less about, you're not going to be able, these tools are getting really sophisticated now, where you being able to figure out something's AI generated is almost going to be a lost cause in the next couple of months. You might as well need to rethink how you generate lesson plans and be less dependent on written reports as a qualifier of learned information.
Exactly. There's so many ways to measure learning. You know, there's students can do oral presentations, they can do artwork, they can do project-based learning. It doesn't have to be just all written all the time.
Exactly. So I think it's just teachers are just going to have to be less dependent on asking kids to write 10-page reports.
Exactly. And, you know, kids are, you know, we're in an age where a lot of people don't read anymore, even adults. I mean, we have Audible for crying out loud. I mean, I used to, growing up, you know, as a kid, you know, when my mom would take me to the library, I would always come out, you know, with like, you know, I'm an 80s, 90s kid. So I would come out with like piles and piles of books, even on a Friday night, you know, and I would go through 20, 30 books in 2 weeks. I was just a voracious reader. Now you have young people not reading a lot because everything's so tech-based. But I'd rather a kid listen to something on Audible, especially my 15-year-old students reading on an 8-year-old level, which is the reality for a lot of them, because they're special ed students with reading and writing deficits. I'd rather my student, you know, be able to enjoy Macbeth at a 4th grade reading level on Audible than never ever experience at all, because he has reading deficits he may never overcome. You know? Because
it still taps into the same, I saw some research, it still taps into the same part of the brain in terms of the creativity.
Exactly.
And you can ask follow-up questions about, what did you learn? Did you comprehend the story?
Exactly.
Rephrase the story. You can do all those things to ensure they comprehended the story and that you get when you read it yourself. And so I think even my son's the same way. He loves audio. He doesn't like reading as much, but he loves audio. He loves particularly audio that includes like sounds and
you know, sadly
running. He loves
the days of traditional books are over. I mean, for the last 15 years, when you go to a library, you see very few people reading books unless they're like small children or maybe like older people. Everyone's mostly on devices, laptop, the computers at the library. And it's sad, you know, maybe within 20 years, we might not have any more books. I mean, that maybe within 10 years, that could be the reality. We might not have any more printed books. Even now, because I've been in the school system teaching for 15 years, a lot of textbooks are virtual, completely online. And that started long before this AI takeover. Online textbooks. A lot of my colleagues and where I work and around the country don't even give kids worksheets anymore. All the assignments are done in Google Docs or Word document. A lot of teachers don't even accept handwritten assignments anymore, or don't even sign. A lot of them do Google Docs or Microsoft Word or Google slideshows. Now I still give my kids pencil and paper assignments because I still want them to fill the, you know, the traditional sense of paper. I want them to improve their handwriting skills, but I also have to give them electronic assignments as well.
Hey, can I just chime in here for a second? I just I just read yesterday that the new trend is going to be the books, electronic books, textbooks are going to come with their own version of ChatGPT, and it's going to help them teach it. Yeah, it's going to help them teach the material.
Wow,
that's actually really smart.
Wow, that scares me a little bit, because as a teacher, you know, I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist at times, maybe a little paranoid at times, but I really wonder, like, 5 years from now, will robots be teaching my students? I mean, I teach high schoolers, so we have these deep discussions. So I asked them, you know, for last month of the school year, I said, guys, how would you feel if, you know, maybe, because they're teenagers, so who knows, maybe like 15 years from now, some of them will have kids. I say, how would you feel about your kindergarten child having a robot teacher? And some of them said they wouldn't like it.
Well,
but that could be the reality.
On the other hand, though, right, like everybody learns in a different way. And
That's true.
so it'd be good to have a human teacher, but then like, for the kids that, especially things like math, they're struggling with concepts, have a chat GPT explain it in a few different ways.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And we're
Because
actually
my
tinkering. We have a partner we're working with that with, because you're spot on, because that's really what the goal of our project is that almost feels like every student is getting a hands-on tutor that's like helping them through the curriculum. Is like, they'll ask questions of like, hey, do this math question, and it's like, oh, it looks like you got it wrong. Watch this video to see if this helps you improve. Here's a couple of things of how you could
exactly.
have did it better. But it
Yeah.
almost gives each individual student this like one-on-one tutoring. It's all going to be text-based through like text messaging. But the idea is like based
Mhm.
upon where they're at, it can always assess, it can always give feedback, and then all that information can still be passed over to a real teacher of like, student A is still struggling with these types of
That's
problems.
true.
Here's recommended methods of things that you can do in person with this student once you get in front of them. So it becomes this like one-on-one co-pilot for each student, but then you still pair that with a human, and then ideally it exponentially helps the student, because now you have the AI that's tracking their progression, but then a human that's coming back and doing intervention to do other kind of in-person interventions with the student.
Hey, Marcus, real quick, just a question backing up on what you're saying before about when you're generating text. What do you use to come up with the citations to the web, to the documents?
Yeah, so actually, I'll share my screen again here. Hopefully, yeah. So this one. So what we're using, and a lot of the tools that are using AI and giving access to the AI, hopefully Wes is loading SERP APIs. So SERP takes advantage of Google's search APIs and allows, in a programmatic way, allow you to do searches of the internet, picking back on Google. So actually I'll log in here. Where I don't see the login. Oh, dashboard. So you'll see, so we've built this like WordPress site that it looks at a whole bunch of different sources. It reads the article, and then it rewrites the article, and we have a bunch of prompts on how to rewrite the article. And then we feed it through another API. I forgot which API. I'm having an old person moment. But that API then rewrites it again. So it's like ChatGPT rewrites each part of it, creates titles, and we have different prompts for each section of the article that we're rewriting. And then it gets fed into another API that then humanizes it even more. And then as GTP is writing the content, it's going to the internet. So it's using the SERP API. As it writes each section, it's going to the internet to find articles that then it can reference for that section that it's writing. So we've like built this whole like API it summarizes the article, then it figures out a strategy for each section of the article. Then when it's writing that section of the article, it goes to the internet to find a reference for that section. And then it writes it, puts a link to where it found that reference, and then you can click it and it does all the beautiful parts. Then you get all the SEO hits for the backlinks to other sources in the article. So then you get a bump up on the SEO side, because now we're referencing all these articles that are referenced to the article we're writing. And so it allows us to like in real time get trending news, rewrite it again, and then reference backlinks. So now we're getting crazy off the chart SEO hits. Our score is because it's checking all the boxes for Google, and then it's not triggering Google because Google doesn't like AI generated content. We're staying off the radar of Google of like, oh, this looks AI generated, so you're going to be penalized. So we're winning on all different fronts because it still looks human. It's still really good content because we always check against real articles on the internet for referencing it to make sure it's good. And then it's still well written because we've written prompts on how we want the writing style to generate. So like we're almost done. We're about to like go live with it. And yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this thing go off because my partner has all the Google ad experience. So we're already got like ads running against it. And so it's going to be a content machine. And ideally, even now as we're testing, every time we post, we automatically get 32 posts or 32 hits instantly. Like it posts and then like a minute later, we're already getting 32 hits on Google from Google search. It's just insane because it's scoring so well on the SEO side. It's kind of off the charts. And we're not even like aggressively, we're not even really promoting it. It's organically getting picked up really well through Google once we publish the content. Oh, you're on mute. Randy, you're on mute.
And you're just using APIs to pull into your own proprietary tool that you've developed to do this.
Yeah, or actually we're using like a combination of like WordPress plugins and APIs. So it's like it's a combination of gadgets we're combining. The last little thing that we're like tinkering with now is creating our own images or just getting really good at web searches for images, which is actually the hardest part of this whole project, honestly. That's been the hardest part, is so we're not just taking someone else's images and then getting in trouble for riffing somebody else's images. We're automating a flow where we're using make.com to summarize the article using ChatGPT. ChatGPT then creates a like 2-sentence summary or prompt to feed into an image generation tool. And then we feed the generated image back into the article. And that's the thing we're testing now. So then we get like, it's been a ride, because that's actually been the hardest part. You'll see there's some terrible images in here. So that's actually the hardest part, has been getting the image generation to work the way we want it to, but we're almost there. It's like, we're like this close to nailing the image generation part. And then this thing is dangerous, because now it's like generating really high quality images. It's linking back to the article sources. It's backlinking really well. And then right now we have a placeholder image. So we put a placeholder image in there at the beginning, and then while it's processing the image, it replaces it once it's done. With like this one, this is like a GTA one. I guess this article is about the GTA game that's coming. So it rewrites it. Here's a link to the article, which is on, oops, I think this one had a couple of broken links in it because we needed to fix something. But where's this article? This one was Market Watch. So yeah, this is the article I referenced. So I remember this one, I think, yeah, it was adding parentheses to the reference, and that's why they were breaking. So we had to fix that. So this should be the article here. Yeah, here's the article. But it was, for some reason, in the ChatGPT prompt, when it would write the article, it'll put parentheses around the hyperlink, so then the links would break. So we fixed that. So this is the real article that was found doing the Google search, and then ChatGPT used this article to write that section of the article. So yeah, so it found the same subject, which was this company's stock going up because of the announcement for GTA 6. And then it used what it learned from this article to rewrite that section based upon what it learned from this other article. So this, yeah, it's getting pretty, once we have this formula down, we're like, oh, we have cracked the nut on like generating very organic content that has references to real sources, that scores really well from SEO, and it generates its own images based upon what it writes. I was like, we've cracked the formula on content generation and then we just have an editor go back and make sure there's nothing crazy in the content, but that's all the editor is doing, is making sure the content's not crazy or nothing like crazy or not factual is generated.
Which will be better than set like 90% of the articles out there already, right?
Exactly. So that's probably honestly, from the research I've been reading, is more of like, at some point this won't work because all the internet will just be AI generated. And so then everything AI is just generating AI generated stuff, but we're not there yet. But eventually that's the biggest concern, is just like everyone's using AI generated content, and now AI is just creating AI generated content from other AI generated content. So we'll wait for that world to happen. But until then, we're going to figure out ways to help some of our partners figure out how to scale their content without having to hire 100 people to write content every day. So yeah, but this is a current combination. But yeah, we're using like 2 or 3 different plugins, but I think we figured out our system now. Once we get the images down, then we're going to be pretty dangerous. It's going to be pretty dangerous little combination of things. Oh, and then the last thing we're going to turn on, which is a chat bot on the content. So then all the content's being saved to a vector database that makes it easy for the chatbot on the site. So then if you want to ask a question like, tell me all the latest news on Yahoo, the company, and it finds all the articles on the site that we've already written, and then you're able to kind of chat on the content generated page to find content or have conversations with the chatbot that knows all the content across the site. And that can like summarize, hey, summarize this article for me, or so it can do all that stuff for you on the web page. So that's kind of the next little project, is adding a chatbot that's trained on all the content that's being created on the site. All right, cool. I know it's 7 o'clock. I don't want to take everyone's time, but is there any other questions? If not, I will make sure I'll send a link to some of the kind of courses on AI to learn how to get started. And then I'll share this recording for everyone, so that if you want to come back and find some of the links, but I'll definitely use AI to get all the links of things I talked about and send the summary of what we talked about. But definitely feel free to just reach out to me if you have any other random AI questions. And then since we're starting to get a larger community of folks, I want to find either Discord or Slack or something that we can all just Slack and throw questions around and just message, because Meetup should have figured that out a long time ago, that people want to message each other on Meetup besides just sending DMs. But yeah, so I'll probably send a little poll out of like what tool everyone's using. If you want a Facebook group, Slack group, Telegram, WhatsApp group, and we can have a place where we can just send each other messages and things like that. Cool.
Be great.
All right. Everyone feels good? But no, thanks for joining on the evening, and hopefully this was helpful.
Certainly.
Definitely any feedback would be good. And then it sounds like maybe a plug-in meetup, ChatGTP plug-in meetup could be a fun way.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, that sounds like, actually
That's awesome.
I've been doing a bunch of tinkering and I found some really cool ones. So yeah, I'll make that the topic for the next one. It's just like everyone sharing plugins that they love, how they work, and we can all kind of share some lessons learned of what plugins work, don't work, or cool ways to use plugins. All right, cool. All right,
Marcus, this has been so cool. You are so amazing, man. You were like so far ahead of the curve, and all the different, you got all the bases covered. It's like,
That's so true.
I've been really hoping to meet somebody like you.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been in this space for a while, but I've only gotten fully immersed since like January, February. So this is just me like YouTube videos and just like getting my hands dirty and just like finding tools, tinkering with tools. Like I didn't really know what Midjourney was until like 2 months ago, and then I got pretty dangerous after just like, and now I'm showing clients and partners and they're like, oh my gosh, I can create my own images. I don't have to like just deal with the generic stuff I find on Google. So it's been a game changer for some of our partners, because now we're like creating custom stock photography for like campaigns, and they look exactly the way we want them to look. And we're like, hey, we want it to look this style. We want women in this one and kids in that one, and like a combination. Now we get exactly the images we want for the campaigns we're creating. So it's kind of perfect. So yeah, it's kind of a game changer for businesses. So yeah, I love for all of us to like get superpowers and make exponential money, because and even, yeah, I've been able to do projects I haven't been able to do. I've been more productive in these last 2 months than I feel like I've been in years. I'm like writing my book finally, creating courses, creating artwork. I'm just doing all the stuff I've been talking about doing for years in the span of like 2 to 3 months. It's kind of off the charts.
Totally amazing.
Yeah. All right, cool. But yes, I'm glad you guys got a lot out of this. Definitely, I'll share the links.
Mhm.
let's figure out what place we can just keep conversations going in between meetups, but we'll definitely do one on Plug It.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be really great if we had a place where we could share stuff, because like I've run across a lot of good training courses,
Mhm.
and I'm taking one in particular now. It's through Coursera. It's a prompt engineering courses, and it's really good. You know,
Yeah.
this guy's talking about doing some meta stuff where he's actually having chatbot itself, GPT, train him on how to do the prompt engineering. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's on Coursera. It's a free course. You could all take it right now, and it's being run by Cornell. But if you guys set up some sort of place for us to share, I can share those links and stuff
Yeah,
with you all
definitely.
too.
I'll do a quick poll after this of like what tool everyone feels comfortable with, WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, or whatever it is. We'll figure out what everyone's on, or at least the consensus one, and then I'll set that up. But yeah, I'll definitely share. Even I have this like huge Airtable of like all the things that I find across the internet on AI. So it's a massive Airtable with a bunch of stuff. So I'll even drop that in there. I
Cool.
need to clean it up because it's a mess of things, but it's literally all things AI, templates, GitHub repos, tools, all of it. So yeah. All right, cool. All right, awesome.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marcus.
All right.
It's nice meeting everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
you